Disease. Disease is one of the most unsettling entities in the Dr. Nowhere universe because it doesn't rely on brute strength. It attacks through perception. At first glance, its appearance is almost surreal. The creature is made of a massive, distorted mound of raw flesh with an unnaturally oversized torso, broad shoulders, and an incredibly long neck that stretches upward like it's barely able to support its own weight. Wrapped around the base of its neck is a thick layer of flesh that resembles a grotesque turtleneck. Disease's true danger isn't its appearance, it's what happens after you see it. Classified as a cognito-hazardous entity, it can begin affecting victims simply through viewing an image of the creature. Once exposed, the victim may experience a rapid mental decline, suffering intense insanity, blindness, and even infiltration of the bloodstream by the entity's unknown influence. Unlike traditional monsters that need to physically hunt their prey, disease uses observation itself as its weapon, turning a single glance into a potentially fatal encounter. Fran Keel. Fran Keel isn't a monster in the traditional sense. He's one of the most tragic victims in the Dr. Nowhere universe. He appears mostly human, with a tall, thin body, unusually long fingers, and pale tan skin. His face is oddly deformed, featuring only a single ear and a protruding nose, while his most disturbing feature is an open cavity in his abdomen that allows him to reach inside his own body. Dressed in blue suspenders, Fran lives completely alone, consumed by severe hypochondria and the constant belief that he's suffering from an unknown illness. His isolation makes him the perfect target for Desiderio, a manipulative entity that convinces him doctors can never help and that every medication will only make his condition worse. As Fran's trust grows, a fetus-like parasite develops inside his hollow stomach, connected to his organs by a supernatural umbilical cord. When Desiderio finally cuts the cord, Fran's body splits apart, leaving behind a lifeless gray husk, while his soul transforms into a small winged creature that floats away through the chimney. His story is a tragic allegory about fear, anxiety, and how false hope can become far more dangerous than the illness itself. Baby Eater John. Baby Eater John is one of the most disturbing entities in the Dr. Nowhere universe, turning the idea of an imaginary friend into something truly horrifying. Standing unnaturally tall, John has pale skin, a broad sunken torso, and impossibly thin arms that stretch upward with tiny hands. His frail legs remain permanently crossed, giving him an unsettling, statue-like appearance. The most recognizable feature, however, is the pair of long antenna-like appendages extending from both sides of his head. According to the lore, these appendages begin to scream whenever a baby is nearby, acting like a supernatural warning system that helps John locate his next victim. His tiny, lifeless eyes, black, gaping mouth, and single bloody row of teeth, John is introduced as the imaginary friend of a young boy named Brian, but it's heavily implied that he's far more than a childhood hallucination. His terrifying name leaves little mystery about his purpose. He hunts and devours babies. The Unnamed Mushroom. The Unnamed Mushroom creature is a colossal fungal humanoid, estimated to stand around 121 meters tall, resembling a giant mushroom-like organism with massive roots extending deep into the ground and upward through its body. Fused into its stem is a humanoid figure with a still, staring face, giving the entity an eerie and almost ritualistic appearance. Rather than actively chasing prey, it appears to trap victims through its surrounding root system, turning the ground itself into a hunting mechanism. Its combination of scale, stillness, and parasitic fungal imagery makes it one of the most disturbing eldritch entities in Dr. Nowhere's universe. To survive this creature, never approach giant, unexplained fungal structures in remote forests. If the ground beneath you begins to feel soft or unstable, leave the area immediately before its roots can reach you. Mr. Glovesworth. Mr. Glovesworth appears to be like a giant lollipop due to his huge, round head and thin body. His torso is stretched and wiry, faintly showing the muscle fibers underneath. He doesn't rely on sight or sound. Blind, deaf, and almost mute, he navigates entirely through smell, a sense so sharp it's nearly impossible to hide from. Once a man with a love for carnival games, he was transformed by an injection into this thing, though that obsession never left, but only became twisted. Now he builds grotesque parodies of those games using human remains as prizes. Wandering too close to his setup can make you a participant whether you want to play or not. To survive, deodorize yourself and your clothing. Avoid leaving strong scents, and if you have to toss something, the Locust The Locust, also known as the Thumper, is one of the most iconic and terrifying creatures in Dr. Nowhere's analog horror universe. Towering far above the average human, its body is unnaturally thin, with long, stick-like limbs, reinforced by pale pink mechanical tubes, rods, and metal plates that make it appear both organic and machine-made. Its hollow eyes, twisted face, and gaping mouth create an unforgettable silhouette, while its awkward, jerky movements make every appearance deeply unsettling. What makes the Locust truly terrifying is the way it hunts. It doesn't stalk victims in the real world. It first appears on televisions, computer monitors, phones, or any digital screen. At first, it remains perfectly still, but the longer someone stares, the closer it gets. Suddenly, its long arms burst through the display, shattering the barrier between technology and reality before violently attacking its victim. According to the lore, it feeds on internal organs while leaving almost no visible external injuries, making its attacks even more disturbing. Despite its brutality, the Locust speaks with the innocent curiosity of a child, asking strange questions in a soft, broken voice before attacking without warning. This unsettling contrast makes its behavior impossible to predict. As the central antagonist of TOE and Smilehood, the Locust transforms every screen into a potential gateway for horror, proving that sometimes the safest place can become the deadliest trap. Filbus. Filbus is one of the strangest entities in the Dr. Nowhere universe, proving that horror doesn't always come from violence. It can come from ideas. At first glance, Filbus looks like someone fused a human body with a wooden chair. Its smooth, jet-black torso contrasts with its pale beige head and hands, while 4 rigid supports replace its legs, giving it the unmistakable shape of a chair. Resting on its small round head is a tiny black top hat, creating an appearance that's oddly playful yet deeply unsettling. Unlike most monsters, Filbus doesn't physically attack its victims. Instead, it spreads a bizarre ideology known as Filbism, an online movement that treats chairs as sacred objects. Followers begin discussing the so-called Great Sacrifice, encouraging people to eat chairs and even debate which types of wood taste best. The frightening part is that simply mentioning Filbus in a post, image, or video can subtly influence people's thoughts, causing them to obsess over chairs without realizing why. Filbus often hides in the background of images, memes, or live streams, waiting for someone to stare just a little too long. Victims report strange urges to buy chairs, chew on furniture, or whisper Filbus's name for no apparent reason. Rather than representing a physical monster, Filbus symbolizes how viral ideas, internet culture, and mass influence can quietly spread from person to person until they completely consume the mind. Anklager. Anklagers tower in silence, draped in robes darker than the deepest night. Their heads aren't skulls or faces, but glowing stars, each point like a spike of light radiating outward. At the center of that burst sits a single, unblinking eye that seems to see every secret you've buried. They appear without warning in dimly lit corridors or at the edge of your room, the glow pulsing softly before it grows so bright you can't look directly at it. The moment you see that eye, a wave of guilt crashes over you. Every wrong choice, every secret betrayal, every harsh word you whispered in private becomes a living memory, pulling you to your knees. When an Anklager confronts you, you face 2 paths. Admit all your faults, feel remorse, and maybe that eye will turn away. Refuse to own up, try to dismiss your sins, and the star at its head blazes into a furnace of light. Nothing survives that blast, except the memory of an unrepentant heart incinerated on the spot. They don't hunt or stalk like other creatures. Instead, they judge, offering one final chance at redemption. The soft glow before they arrive is a quiet warning. Live with a clear conscience, or prepare to stand before divine judgment. Any attempt to argue, to shift blame, or deny guilt only feeds their power, making the eye burn hotter. Surviving an Anklager isn't about running or hiding. It's about living honestly, facing the mistakes you'd rather forget, and being ready to own them if it steps into your world. That's Anklager.